Let's bring in today's political panel. Former Never Back Down Communications Director Erin Perrine and Democratic strategist Jim Kessler. Welcome to both of you.
Hello.
So big week in politics. We've got that CNN presidential debate. You have former President Trump out in Philly talking to the folks about his potential running mate. Let's play it.
No, nobody knows.
That's right. Tim Scott your way, baby. Win.
Who do you like as VP?
I like you to run the whole country the way you did.
Who do you like? JD. You like JD? JD. Who do you like? Who? Senator Hopkins. Oh, that's interesting. Who do you guys like as VP?
Tim Scott. Tim Scott.
Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton.
Marco Rubio.
There's a lot of variants.
A lot of different names. Jim, what are your expectations for this week's first presidential debate?
I think this is going to be a good moment for Joe Biden. He's looking forward to this. He debated Donald Trump 2 times before. He won both of those debates. I think Republicans have been consistently underestimating Joe Biden. He performed well at the State of the Union. This is the beginning of the fourth quarter. I think Joe Biden's behind by a couple of points. He doesn't need to blow out Trump the rest of the way, but he needs to win the fourth quarter. The opening tap is the debate on Thursday.
So, Erin, we see the former president out with the folks in Philadelphia in a critical battleground state. The current president's at Camp David, hunkering down. What do you make of it, and what do you expect on Thursday night?
What I make of it is both are choosing the debate prep style that best fits them. Joe Biden is sitting down with advisors. My understanding is he's doing debate prep at 9 p.m., doing 90-minute run-throughs to try and get himself acclimated to this later debate performance. But Donald Trump is out there talking to the people, staying engaged. What Donald Trump is doing that people think are underestimating in his debate prep, which is unusual by political standards, is he's already testing lines. There isn't an audience in this room, so he won't get that feedback he's used to, but he'll know what's getting picked up by the media during his speeches and what resonates with his base and other voters, because he's out there making these big speeches. I expect some fireworks. I do expect both of them to kind of yell over the mic at one point versus each other. But at the end of the day, I think that we actually will see policy discipline debate at this debate from both men.
Another big story in the next few weeks is, of course, picking the running mate for the former president. One person on the short list talking about it today. Let's play it.
And with President Trump right now, where he is with Hispanics, with blacks, with people under age 30, and with independents, I mean, he's very strong across the board. So he can pick someone that he can focus on, like, hey, let's get someone get stuff done. Let's get someone who helps him govern.
So his emphasis is that the former president has a lot of flexibility, Jim. What about that?
You pick a vice president to solve a problem. He picked Mike Pence in 2016 because he had problems with evangelicals. Trump has problems with moderate voters. He's got problems with women voters. He maybe has some opportunity with minority voters, but still is not polling well. He should pick a woman. Nikki Haley would be the obvious choice. That would be the mature choice. I'm not sure he's mature enough to make that pick, but I think some of the other names out there, like J.D. Vance and Doug Burgum, gets him absolutely nothing. So I think you got to try and solve a problem.
All right, Erin. So as our panel's resident Republican, what's your take on the Trump sweepstakes?
Well, I think that at this point, the top contenders, he has said that the top contenders will be at the debate for him and in Atlanta. I think, while I understand Jim's point here about having someone who can solve a problem, electorally, there are not many that are in this sweepstakes that will solve an electoral problem. So for him, it's, to Burgum's point, which I think is actually very smart, is who can help him govern. And for Trump, he's going to want someone who doesn't outshine him anyway, and also somebody who can help bring in dollars. So it could be like a Glenn Youngkin. It could be a Doug Burgum, those who have more of a CEO-style background, who can help govern in that fashion and bring in other donors to the base.
Expect the announcement right before going to the convention?
I think it'll be around convention time. That's just a natural news cycle uptick, some extra money going into convention. You fundraise off of that kind of news. So, yeah, I think around then, because that can only help bolster their dollar amount coming out of convention.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.